Hey y'all, welcome to the Pungo Prairie. What an absolutely gorgeous late August morning it is here. Um, it's a nip in the air this morning. It's about just the upper 50s. I had to put on a long sleeve shirt. I even thought about building a fire. It's really unusual to have this kind of weather, no humidity, nice and cool, uh, right after a hurricane blows through. Hurricane Erin uh, went by the coast out here in Virginia Beach just a few days ago. And usually after a hurricane, it's really hot and humid because you have all that tropical air. And that storm, it produced some pretty good waves, even though it was a good ways offshore here. Kind of messed up the plans a little bit for the 22nd annual Virginia Beach Billfish Tournament that's going on today. They had to wait a few days before they could get out there because of the rough surf and lingering rough ocean conditions. But this fall-like weather we're having has really gotten me excited and in the mood for getting things ready to head back up to camp here in just about a month and a half. I did this past week pick up my mount from my medicine buck that I took back in the 2023 season. And you know, I got to worrying a little bit because for the last few weeks my right hip has been bothering me a bit, and I was kind of limping along, and thought, man, this ain't gonna be good for hunting season, getting up and down those mountains. Well, 2 weeks ago, this coming up tomorrow, Sunday, I was up on the upper deck checking out a few things for continuation of a project I'm doing up there, and I heard all this buzzing around my head. I thought it was deer flies, and I'm swatting away at it. And after a few minutes, I turned around and looked up, and here was a bald-faced hornet's nest that I was standing right next to, that they had built just right outside the sliding glass door on the patio. So I waited for it to get dark, and I went up there with some wasp and hornet killer and sprayed it right up in the hole of that nest. Well, a few of those hornets chased me back into the house. I slammed the door, but 4 of them stung me right here in the left temple or left-hand side of my head. And I'm doing hand-to-hand, air-to-air dogfight combat with them with the bee killer, and I did manage to shoot them all down, and they fell to the floor, and I didn't get stung anymore. Well, I woke up the next morning, and I realized, hey, my hip's not bothering me as bad as it was. So I said, I wonder if them wasps or hornets stinging me had anything to do with that. So I Googled it, and sure enough, there's studies been made of how the venom in bees can actually help give relief to arthritis, pain, and inflammation. So all I got to say is really hell getting old, folks, when you got to stick your head in a beehive just so you can feel better. But with this, like I said, early fall-like weather we have in here this morning, I got to thinking about a last day in camp a few years ago, which I decided to break out and knock the dust off. And I tell the story here in the beginning of this video of how we came to name our little girl Afton. Now, Afton is going to be 36. Well, she's 36 now. She's going to be 37 years old coming up on her next birthday. I don't know where the time goes, but if you'd like to take a little trip back into time and see how it was on the last day of the season in 2021, it was, where I even roasted a whole standing rib roast over the campfire. Don't go nowhere, because you don't want to miss this. the Lord has to say this morning, Tali girl? Want to hear what the Lord has to say? Yeah, Daddy. I always want to hear what the Lord has to say, Daddy. That's right, Tali dog. That's right. I don't know, we're usually not in camp on December 29th. So I don't know if I've written anything from years past for that date. It is the eve of our sweet Afton's birthday. Sweet Afton. 29 years ago today, we were preparing for you. Can't wait. Of course, Tali dog, we didn't know we was having a little girl. At that point in time, I know with modern science and everything, most couples know whether they're going to have what the gender's going to be. They have all these gender reveal parties where they take a canister of tannerite and mix it with blue paint powder in one and pink paint powder in the other, and when they find out, they gather everybody around. This way country folks do it, folks that live out in, where you where you won't get arrested for setting off a bomb with a rifle. When we blow that tannerite canister up, I say we like I've done it. I've never done it, but my friend Vic did it. Well, his son Matthew, who y'all have heard me talk about up in Canada. But back in those days, we just chose to let it be a surprise. But Fran, my wife, she was so convinced that she was going to have a little boy because of all the old wives' tale symptoms that she had encountered throughout her pregnancy. And I said, Fran, you're going to have a little girl. You want a little girl. I know that's what your heart's set on. And I gave you a little girl. Because it is up to the father, after all. The father's contribution determines the sex. Is it okay to say that, or do we have to say gender these days? I don't want to offend anybody. The heck I don't. I'm going to tell you how we came about naming our daughter. I may have told y'all this before. Forgive me if I have, but I was on the way home from a hunting trip here in the mountains. It was early December. I broke camp. I was by myself. Didn't have Tali girl back in those days. And it was a beautiful day. I mean, it was a nice, mild fall day, early December day. The sun was shining. Just big, puffy white clouds in the sky. And I had cleared Waynesboro and was crawling up the backside of Afton Mountain. And when I broke over the summit and was coming down the east face, it was just such a gorgeous view of the valley below. And I said, Afton. That would be a pretty girl's name. I said, we're going to call our little girl Afton. And after I drove down a little ways farther down the mountain, I said, well, I got to come up with a middle name. Little girls have to have middle names. And I said, we'll call her Afton Hunter. After all, I am coming home from a hunting trip, so her name will be Afton Hunter Dixon. So I pulled in the drive when I got home about 3 hours later and carried my duffel bag in and put my rifle in the gun cabinet there. And Fran greeted me at the door. I said, I picked out a name for your little girl today. She said, you did? Well, how did you know it's going to be a little girl? We already had this conversation. Fran, I know all you've got picked out as boys' names, so I picked out a girl's name because, like I said, we're going to have a little girl. She said, well, what is it? I said, we're going to call her Afton Hunter Dixon. If you like it, of course. She said, I love it. I love it. That's perfect. So it wasn't but, just the end of the month that Afton was due to be born, or baby was due. And we're in the delivery room there, and Fran, she's just being a real trooper. She doesn't even have one of those what do they call them, epidurals, something like that, where they shove this needle up in your spine and give you some kind of a pain blocker. And Fran's real petite. Y'all might have seen some images of hers in some of my other videos, but she's just got the same figure she had when today. At 60, she's 3 years younger than me. She's 68 years old. I'll be 71 here in another couple days. But she's got the same figure she has today as she did when she was 16 years old in high school. No kidding. And all she had for a baby weight was that little basketball she was carrying. So anyway, Fran, she was in a delivery room, and she said, maybe I'll go ahead and get one of those epidurals. And they said, well, we're past the window of time for that, because if we give it to you this late, it may affect the baby, and the baby might be sluggish, and we don't want to do anything that would reduce or inhibit the APGAR store. So Fran went ahead and toughed it out, and when Afton popped out of there, she just went like a little. I'm kind of there snapping pictures, of Afton coming out, and the doctor pulls her out, and there's that umbilical cord there, and he handed me a pair of snips, and I cut it. He tied it a little knot and handed the baby to me. And I'm standing there with little Afton in the palms of my hands. And what a miracle. This little girl. So I took the little baby over, laid her on Fran's chest. She cradled her with the arm. I said, here you go, honey. Here's your little girl. And that's the story of Afton's birth. I didn't mean to get off on all that this morning. It's just sometimes when I open a book and look and see what's there, certain recollections come to mind, and I just go off on a ramble. So anyway, Afton this morning is recovering from surgery from a automobile accident she had back in July. But Afton, we're praying for you, baby girl, and hopefully this time you will be on the mend. I'm not sure what we're going to do here today. We'll sort of figure it out after I drink this coffee. I'll Tali girl. Tali girl, Daddy done come off and left the carving board at home. I guess we're gonna have to see what we can do about that. What do you think, Tali girl? That one's even got a little bit of character to it. I think this is gonna make a great carving board. Cut us an extra one there, Tali girl, because you never can have too many carving boards. We just get us a good bed of coals going there. Clean that sawdust off of it. I think that's gonna be just fine. All natural too, not a bunch of synthetic plastic to end up floating in the ocean somewhere in the South China Sea. I picked up this standing rib roast the other day with plans to cook it up for New Year's Eve. But seeing as how it's supposed to rain, pretty significant amount of rain on New Year's Day, Saturday, and Sunday too, I'm gonna have to pack up this camp on New Year's Eve because it's supposed to be a dry day, and I have to take the tent down when it's dry. Otherwise, if I take it down wet, I have to put it back up when I get home, and when I get home I'm gonna have to hit the ground running, and I'm not gonna have much time to do that. So I got this roast. I'm just gonna set it over here on top of this little bucket and let it come up to room temperature, or at least tent temperature. Now I'm gonna roast our prime rib over this campfire here, only I'm not gonna roast it directly on the fire. I'm gonna use this little Dutch oven here that we roasted our Thanksgiving turkey in last year. Okay, our roast here has been sitting out in the tent close to the stove for about 2.5 hours now. Now normally I would make a paste out of like maybe olive oil, some softened butter, mince up some garlic and fresh rosemary and thyme. I don't have any of that with me in camp here. I just got this steak seasoning out of a jar that I happen to like. Like I say, I like this seasoning because it's not too salty, and I don't like a lot of salt. You can always add salt at the table. Okay, we've had our Dutch oven heating up here for about 25 minutes or so. Set our roast right down there in the middle on that pie, those pie pans. Back on with our lid, and just like we did on our campfire roast turkey, I'm gonna put a few of these charcoal briquettes on top because I want our roast to be able to cook evenly in that cast iron pot. Now over here off to the side, I got another little fire going, and the reason for that is I can create more coals and add them as I need them. This is a strictly fly by the seat of your pants operation here, especially since I've never done this before with a standing rib roast. It's been about 35 minutes. I'm gonna check it here and see what we got. A little crispy on top, but that's gonna be okay because that's just fat going on. Okay, it's been about another 35 minutes here. I'm just gonna take our Dutch oven and set it right down on this stump here. What an absolutely gorgeous day it's turned out to be. You know, the weatherman, he's been wrong this whole trip. And it's been in my favor because it was supposed to rain Monday. It was supposed to rain yesterday. It was supposed to rain all day today. Today, here it is, the 29th of December, 2021. Here I am at my Virginia mountain camp. It's 65 degrees out here. Our roast here has set in this pot for about 45 minutes. I'm thinking it's probably going to be overdone. I'm telling by the way it's pulled back there. I'm going to ladle up some drippings. I'm going to add our little pot here of our beef drippings. Some of these sliced up onions. 4-ounce can of these mushrooms with the juice. And a can of this beef broth. Let's bring on our roast. Let's see if we got anything close to being pink yet out there. I'm gonna go right down here between these two bones and see what we got. Not medium rare, but with a little bit of that au jus on it, it ain't gonna suck. A little bit of this au jus with those onions and mushrooms. A little dollop of sour cream on that potato. Come here, baby. How you doing, huh? We had a good day, didn't we? Yeah, we had a good day. Now when can we eat? Tali girl. We're gonna say blessing first, okay? You say blessing. Fold your little doggy paws. And Tali girl, you gotta stay still, okay? You gotta stay still. We're saying blessing. Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful day. Oh my gosh, what a gift. Here it is, December the 29th, and we got 65 degrees here in the mountains. And we just ask now that you would bless this food to nourish our bodies and strengthen us for a life in thee. Through Jesus we pray. Amen. Tali, you did pretty good that time. Yeah, Daddy, now can we eat? Okay. Well, we may not have got the perfect medium rare that we was hoping for on this cook, but that's okay. I knew it was going to be a learning experience, seeing as I never done it before. I do still have a little pink going on in here. Easy. There you go. Thing is, you know, I like my meat rare to medium rare. There's no doubt. There's a lot of you folks out there watching this video that might think this needs to go back on a fire. But my grandfather and his grandfather, my great-grandfather, my Uncle Bruce, and a lot of my uncles and other family that raised cattle over the years, they wouldn't eat a piece of beef unless it was cooked well done. Tali down. You want this, baby? Huh? You want this? Daddy, are you kidding me? Now give it back. No, Daddy, you can't have it back. Tali, you got a grip on that, don't you, baby? Yeah, Daddy. Well, let me have it. Here, you got it? Oh, little dog says that's perfect. She's gone. Oh my goodness. My best girl. And so, as the curtain falls on yet another season here in our mountain camp, I can't help but to wonder where the years have gone. In one moment, it seems, I'm holding my newborn babies in the palms of my hands, and with the next breath, they are grown with babies of their own. Every moment in this life is a gift to treasure, because you never know what the next moment will bring. I will never forget the sinking feeling that day this past July as I ran towards the wreckage of that truck where my baby girl was trapped inside. I was there before first responders. All I could do was pray. That was a horrible day, yet even through the horror of it all, there was good that rose out of it. But that's another story for another time. For now, I'm just going to savor this fire and thank my good Lord above for another good camp, my friends, my family, this little brown dog, and the blessings I have known.